Very well. So today we are going to learn three things. First, we will try our hands on these graphics we see here on the screen, and then we will try out width tool uh, here, and we will try out perspective tool. Okay. So now, when you have something like this, and you wish to build something like this, then usually what people do, they start tracing it, right, and then they end up getting something not so good. Okay. So tracing is not the correct method to do it. Rather, what we should do, we should analyze the shapes and then try to create it with geometric shapes, basic geometric shapes, and that is what we are going to do. First, I'm going to just drag the guidelines and then make a bounding box around the entire thing. Okay, so now we have some sense of space that within this rectangle we will have to build these shapes. I'm gonna drag another guideline and put it here, and then I'm going to bring another guideline and then just roughly I'm trying to guess where this curvature starts, and there I'll put another guideline. So here also it seems as if it is extended from a circle. So this is fairly easy to understand, and here the simpler shape is on the right hand side. That means if I make a rectangle and select these 2 points, this one,
Yeah,
shift click on this
yeah,
one,
these
and
these things I feel I could build fairly easily. It's just the more complicated stuff.
yeah, so this is fine, but the challenge is with this one. Now for creating this, I have two ways. Either I can start tracing, or I should actually think of some geometric shapes with which I can build this, right? So this curvature is very close to this one. If I drag a guideline and put it in the half, then this curvature looks pretty much same to this one. Okay, and this looks as if the curvature has been reversed, right? So in order to do that, I'm gonna extend this about here, then select this one and then drag it so that the curvature is built. Okay, now the next challenge is to get this one correct, and we see that this is a circle, right, an arc. So I'm gonna create an ellipse. I'm just roughly taking the center of this circle and hold shift and alt both and then drag, and I have been able to pretty much trace the outline of this curvature. If it goes a little here and there, that is fine, that's not a problem, but my aim is to not stray away from the center, otherwise the whole balance is going to get lost. Okay, and this part we will see how we can do it. This much we can also manually just correct, right? If I pull this here and let's say try to make the circle more big, then I think it is doable, right? So we have to make sure that this overlaps this one, or at least if not overlap, If I select both, these two paths should be exactly on top of each other. Then only I can use the shape builder. So I'm gonna push this again, select both of them, and continue to do so unless I find a overlap. Okay, this is still not overlapped properly, so I'm gonna push it a little bit. Now it got overlapped. All right. I think we'll have to use one more circle in this case. So let me just pull. Okay. And let's make a copy of this one. I'm holding Alt and dragging it. And then I'm going to connect it here. So here the curvature is getting reversed. And then overlapping here. This should overlap this one. That means we'll have to make it bigger. Let's get rid of the smaller one. Okay. Now let's select all three, make sure that these are overlapping. I need to push this one a little in. Now it may seem as if, you know, it's a lot of work. Rather we should have just traced that, but this way it will be completely balanced. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is create a rectangle. And now select everything, but before I do anything else, I would also want to make this a little smaller, I think, and pull it down. No. Just a little. Yeah. Okay. And yeah. And now I'll select this circle and keep it in my clipboard so that I can paste it back and then make this this shape, right? And now select everything, all the shapes, and use the shape builder. Okay, so we want this shape, right? The lines we don't want can be eliminated by holding Alt and then clicking on that. So we don't want this partition, so I'm gonna hold Alt and then click on this to remove that. I don't want this. I don't want this line. I don't want this. And I don't want these, but I do want this one. So rather than targeting the shapes, I'm gonna target the lines. And one by one get rid of that. I don't want this also, and I don't want this. Now we have the shape. Easy, right?
Okay.
Okay, now there may be some broken lines that can be fixed. So we need to select both and then make sure that we will have to add an anchor point here. So I'll hit plus on the keyboard and click here to add an anchor point, and then select this line, and we have to get rid of this anchor point. So I'll say minus and remove that. Then select this, select both the anchor points and say Control J on the keyboard to join. Okay. Now there is some problem. Okay, all right, I'll have to get rid of this one also, and now select both and say Control J to join, and then a little bit of fixing it. Maybe just chop this off. should have taken care of that when it was overlapping. So let's connect this with pen tool and make this anchor point smooth. That should do the job. Yes. Okay, now are these two different points? Yes, so I'll select these two also and say Control J to join them together, and that fixes the problem. So the point here is that no matter what is the situation, you should be able to handle it, even if the lines are broken or the shapes are not getting correct. You should have all the tools and techniques and tricks to make it work, right? See, now I again find some problem here, some overlap issues are there. Now this happened because I used a lot of shapes. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, this is a problem. So I can simply delete it, delete this, no, not this one. Select these two, say Control J to join, and now we have what we need. Yes, good. Now for creating this, I still have the circle in my clipboard. I can use that. So I'll say Control F to paste it back on the same place and reduce the size of it. And use okay, the bigger circle, select Control C, Control F to paste it on the same place and increase the size again to make the bigger circle. For creating this, once again you'll have to repeat the same thing, right? Make a bigger circle, and maybe this time it can be created from a rectangle, so we can go for the polygon tool and click once and then change the sides to 3 and say OK, and we can work with this triangle. So we'll reduce the size. Okay, the aim here is to first overlap this, and second thing is this point should be overlapping this line segment. Okay, and now we have enough shapes to play around with, so we can select these two and go to the shape builder tool, hold Alt, get rid of this, and then this we will let it be. We will have to merge these two shapes, right now this is separate and this is separate, so we'll select both, use shape builder and get rid of this line segment. We forgot to get rid of that time. Now this we'll have to join by selecting both, saying Control J, and this also we have to join, select both, say Control J. Now select this one because this is a corner point, it will allow you to just drag and make it smooth. So we have managed to create what we needed. A little bit of adjustment obviously needs to be done because this is not a straight line, this is supposed to be a curve. So for that we can add an anchor point here, plus on the keyboard, pen tool, and then plus on the key. What happened? Okay, my language got changed to Hindi. Yeah, so plus on the key. Yeah, I was wondering why the keyboard shortcuts are not working. So plus on the keyboard, click on this press A on the keyboard and pull this down a little and then convert this into a smooth anchor point. Now it can be way more refined than what you see on the screen. I'm doing it very crude, but essentially this is how you approach this kind of problem. Rather than going along the outline and trying to trace it, it's better to devise a method which involves basic geometrical tools and then do it. So similarly, if we want to do this, it's rather more simpler, because we can simply start with a rectangle, right? And I can start first, let's make this circle part and then we will do the rectangle. So let's make it here from scratch. We have a circle, right? And inside that we want to fill color. Here the purpose of doing these graphics was not just to create the shapes but also understand how these colors can be filled. So we'll be talking a little bit about the gradients also, but we will take care of the colors later on. Right now just let's create the shape. So we have a circle, we'll say Control C and say Control F to paste the same circle on top of it and then reduce the size of it. To make these curves, all we have to do is go to the effects panel, go to the distort and transform and choose zigzag, and something weird will show up, but we can definitely tweak that up. We will first make it smooth and we will reduce the size, right? And we will reduce the ridges per segment also. So let's say 2. I think 3 would do it. Yes. And we can go for probably 1 points here. Okay, all right. So we have got the shape. Now about creating this shape, we will create a rectangle and we will start from here and make a rectangle. Then we will send this to the back, Control Shift left bracket, because there is no color filled in these two, we can see through it. So I'm gonna select both and hit D on the keyboard. Oh sorry, it sets it to default color. Don't do that. So we'll select both and then just click on this to fill white into it so that this goes in the back. Okay, now this curvature can be done very easily. You have to select the shape, select the anchor point here, click and then drag, and we will drag it exactly when it reaches the mid, right? That is what it is done here. Okay, now the next thing is we'll have to make a copy of it. So I'll say Control C and press Control F to paste it on top and reduce the size. And I want you to notice something here. As I do so, I'm not getting what I want, right? This is not correct. Yes. So what I have to do here is, rather than trying to reduce it manually, we should use a filter. So effect. So I have already copied it. So there are 2 of these rectangles. I have copied it. I'll have to go to the effects panel and then choose path and choose offset path, right? Click on the offset path and we will have to go for a negative value. So I'm gonna go for -3 points and we exactly get what we need. I'll say okay, right? And after you have offsetted the path, notice that the path still is there, right? The path is still outside. So we have to expand this. We will go to the object menu and choose expand appearance. And now we got what we needed. All right.
What did expand appearance do?
Because
What were
it
you?
was
I didn't see.
the
I didn't see what you were trying to do. It looked the
okay.
same to me.
Yeah. So right now, if you select the middle shape, the path is still outside. What I did is I just applied an effect on it. So the path is outside, right?
Hmm.
And the stroke is offsetted. The
I
path is
understand that.
still outside, and I want it to be resolved. I want the path and stroke to be aligned with each other. So I went to object menu and then chose expand appearance. And now see the path got where I wanted it to be, exactly in the middle of the stroke. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now we will try to fill color into it. So we can see that there is a gradient, and here the gradient is reversed, right? So in order to do that, we can select this shape. First we'll have to create the gradient. So we can click on the gradient tool and click on it once. What it does, it fills it up with a black wall gradient, which is black to white. Now these are the color stops. So I can simply double click on this, which brings me to the color picker, and I can use the eyedropper tool and then click on this to pick the color. Okay, then I'm gonna double click on this, click on the color picker, come here and pick the color from here. It doesn't look good because it has an outline of black color applied to it. So let's just fix that first. So I'm gonna select this one and then get rid of the outline. Okay, let me connect my charger. All right, so we have got that gradient going on here. Now the same gradient can be applied on this one also, and we just have to select this and hit I on the keyboard to bring on the color picker and click on this. Now when I do so, seems as if nothing happened. Like something happened obviously, but this object got disappeared. So actually this object is there sitting on top of it, but because they have same gradient applied, it seems as if they are one object. So here we have to reverse the gradient. So I'm going to select this, go to the gradient panel. If you don't see it here, you can go to the windows and find out, but I see it here. So I'll just expand this, and there is this option of reversing the gradient. So I'll just click on this and the gradient will be reversed and we will have this. Now if you closely watch, you will see that the outline also had some effect applied on it, right? So the best thing is that we can also have effect applied on the outline as well. So I'm gonna select this and drag this fill on the outline as well, so that the outline can also have a gradient applied on it. But the outline looks to have a different gradient, right? It has a different gradient. So we can try reversing it, which will give us this effect, but we don't want this, right? We want a different effect. So let me reverse it back again. Sorry, I mistakenly reversed the fill gradient. So I'm gonna say Control Z a few times and then highlight the outline and then reverse the gradient to get this effect, right? See, it looks as if the outline is there and it has a gradient applied on it, but we need to lighten up the outline also and make it thinner as well. So we will go to the strokes panel and make it thin 0.5, and the next thing I'm gonna do is go to the color and then pull up the HSB sliders and then reduce the saturation or increase the brightness. Basically, maybe increase the brightness, saturation is still fine, or maybe pick a different hue altogether. uh, okay, So this gives me what I need, and on top of that I just have to type in data and on the text what is that. Now for this one, since we already have the gradients defined, I just have to select it and then press I on the keyboard and sample it from here. And for the inside thing, I'll have to select this, hit I and sample it from the white area. And now I realize that this is also blunt, right? The outer shape. So how we can do that? We can select this outer shape. I have to, either I can do this, okay, or I can select this and then go to the strokes panel. Okay, sorry, we don't have any stroke applied to it, so there is no other way. I'll have to do this. All right, so I just have to select this one and then drag it a little bit in and done. Now we also see that there is some drop shadow, so I'll select this shape, go to the effects, go to the stylize, go to drop shadow and reduce the offset to 1 1 and blur to 2. That does it. We have a nice looking drop shadow going on there also. Okay, I think we should put some drop shadow here also. That would make it look really nice. So we can go to stylize, apply drop shadow. It remembers the last settings. So I would want to make the opacity lesser for this one, and also blur should be 1 point. Say okay and done. You have what you need.
Um, I can't see anything.
You can't see?
Oh, I see. I see. You did it on the bigger circle. You did it on the bigger circle.
Yeah, there is this
Not a.
drop shadow.
You didn't. Yeah, I see it there.
Yeah,
I
so
was
on the,
looking at the dial. I was looking at the little
okay, no problem. So on the
undulating
top
dial.
also we'll do that. Stylize, drop shadow, and now you see the difference, right? Pops out
Yeah,
immediately.
that looks really nice.
Okay, now just add text to it. That is very easy and straightforward. Obviously you'll have to find the right font, so I'm gonna just go with anything which is closer to what I see here, and 03, and we will increase the size of it. I'm pressing the shortcut Control Shift uh, right arrow, the period or greater than key. Okay, and I can also hold Alt and then use the arrow keys to push it up a little, and then I can reduce the size and place it there. Right, I think some distortion is also there, so I'll just do it. It should not be done. You should never do this with text, but then it's all right, it's okay. And kerning has to be adjusted a little bit. Maybe this much is fine. Okay, and make it white. Okay,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the text goes here and you have a nice looking infographic element. All right, so this is how I want you to attempt these things. Now the best thing is that if you want to do color variations, you can simply make a copy of it and you can use recolor artwork option. I have gone through it earlier, right? And you can quickly make very interesting variations. So we have another variation here. We can go for cool colors, right? Or something very psychedelic like this one. All right.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So this is one thing we have done today. We'll move to the next one. I'm gonna hide the guidelines for now, and maybe I'll just start with a new artboard altogether. So I'm gonna start with a new artboard.
How do you, so to create a new artboard, you just
There is this
just
artboard tool.
uh-huh.
So you click on that and you click and drag.
Okay, and then you just create it. Can
Yeah,
you
so you,
create specific sizes?
yes, you can do that. So there are two ways. Either you can copy the existing artboard. Let me just delete this one. So let's say I want to make a copy of this one. So in that case, I'll have to go to the artboards panel and simply click on new button. That gives me the exact same size. But if I want to change it to a specific uh, size, I can click on this icon here, which brings me to the artboard options, and there I have the choice of renaming the artboard also and going for a different size as well. So I can define the size here. If you see the measurement convention point, that's fine, no problem. You can still type in the value in inches. So let's say I want the width to be 11 inches, so I'm going to type in 11 inches, and if I want the height to remain the same, I'll say okay. It changes it, and now I have to just push it. Now the problem with doing it this way, whatever thing comes on that artboard becomes part of that artboard, right? So I would rather do it this way, or maybe just push this artboard away from it and then make the changes. Otherwise it might try to include the objects which are there on the other artboard. So I'm gonna say 11 inches and then say okay, done, got it. All right,
Right.
you can make copies of it also by holding alt, and you can make as many as you want. All right, now the next thing today we are going to learn is how to use width tool. So for width tool, you have to have a path, stroke basically. So what it allows you to do is change the width of the stroke. So right now seems as if there is nothing, but actually I have a path, and since there is no stroke applied to it, it seems as if I have nothing. But I have a path on which I can apply a stroke. If I go to the strokes panel, I can have a stroke of any color I want. So I'm gonna go and then turn this into black solid and increase the thickness to 3 points. So what width tool allows you to do is, I'll select it first, is come and then find out any place on the path, and then you can click and then drag to increase the width. Okay, so you can create profiles like this.
Nice.
Okay, all right, this works for paths also, or if you have a shape and you want to work with this outline, the width tool can come in handy as well here. So it allows you to quickly create very interesting shapes indeed. Okay, that's width tool. Nothing fancy about it, but very helpful. Now you can also save them as profiles, or these are the profiles which are already available to you. So let's say I have a stroke on which I want to apply the width tool, so that we can see it. I'm gonna increase the thickness, and then I have the choice of applying a different profile from here. So these are the width profiles which are predefined, but we can create our own also by selecting the width tool and playing around with it. If I like a profile, I can save that as well by selecting it, expanding it, and then there is this option of add to the profiles. You click on this and you can type in your own name, and then that gets added to the profile. So that means the newly created profile can be applied to a stroke. I can apply it on this one, select this, go there, and I'll find that newly created profile. Now it may not be visible because the thickness is very less. If I increase the thickness, you will see that the profile is getting stretched along the path. The way it works is it tries to stretch the entire profile along the length of the path. So in case of circle, again, if I increase the thickness, you will see that the profile is actually getting stretched along the whole path, and it allows you to create very interesting shapes. And the best thing about it is that it is still a path, so you still have the control over the vertex and you can play around with it. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's width tool. Let me just delete this, and we will start with perspective tool. So the perspective tool looks very complicated, but it is actually not. So I'm gonna click on the perspective tool and then choose perspective selection tool, and now if I try to move it, it's very difficult, right? And have you tried it earlier?
Mm-mm.
No, never.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, so first thing first, I'll have to double click on the artboard to make sure that it is selected, and then click on the perspective tool. But still, see, it doesn't care much about where is what, and that's a trouble, you know, people have with perspective tools. Basically, I'll go to the perspective selection tool and try to select everything which is there, and still it would not allow me to come here. But what I can do is change the vanishing point positions and all those things. Let me just shift all things to unlock this and move all of it here away from it, and then we will work with perspective tool. So once you enable it, this gives you this grid. Now all the things you can move definitely, uh, and set the perspective angle, but essentially what it allows you to do is create shapes. First you have to select it. So right now look at this, this grid is highlighted, the left hand side grid is highlighted. So that means if I draw anything, it will draw it on the left hand side grid. Okay, so let's try to create something 3D. The point of having the perspective grid is to help you with creating three-dimensional elevations in a two-dimensional space. Now I'm gonna click on this one and start like so. And let's say I want one door or a window here, so I can make a window here, and I want this window to have 4 panels. I can do that by creating 4 rectangles. And if I want let's say door here, now here see it is still following this perspective. So what I'll do rather is select this part and then create a door here. Okay, now for the house, for the roof, I can enable this, and and I can draw like so. Okay, so I'm going to start from here and then draw something like that. Wait a second, this tooltip is coming on top, so no problem, we can still uh, select this by going to perspective select and then expand it. Okay, right. And then I'm gonna start from here and draw it in this. Okay, and then I can select this and build something like this. Select this and build something like this.
You've been
Same.
building an Indian house,
Yeah, Indian house is correct. So
not an American house.
not an American house. In America, it will have so much of snow on the roof that it will collapse, right?
And it had the peak too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put one window here as well. Okay. So what it does is helps you stick to the perspective grid and then define the space. So I can go select the bottom part. Oh, something is wrong. Now what happened? Okay, I'm the wrong tool. Select this and then I can create, if the bottom tool is selected, then I can create a space like this.
The
Okay.
garden.
Yeah, the garden. Yeah, that is important, right?
We need a it needs a swing as well.
Yeah. So then for this part, let's say there is a pathway here. I can do this. And when I'm done, I simply have to just close this. Uh, Sorry, I'll have to hide the perspective grid and oh god. Yeah, close this and then now I can just make a copy of it or just reduce the size of it or do whatever I want to do with it, but I'll no longer be able to edit it the moment I do it. And now I can fill color into it. Yes, so I can go for this color, send it to the back, merge these two rectangles by going to the pathfinder, merging the shapes together, but it's not merging because it's not overlapping. Now that is a problem, but let's just fill a color into them. Yeah, and oh, it will still have that line, so a little bit of manual tweak up will do the job. Okay, this wall and this wall, so I want uh, why I'm painting it pink, I don't know. I'm so
It's like
horrible.
like stucco color.
Yeah, now this one will also have, and this one is gonna go slightly lighter than this one, right? Slightly lighter than this one. Okay, again the language got changed. Slightly lighter. Oh, not dark, light. Yeah, and the windows will have some, I don't know, black color, dark, and we can have the white outline for this. Okay, got the idea, right? We can create
Yeah.
something like this really cool stuff. we can add some trees also. Let me enable the perspective grid back again. Now we cannot map it again on the perspective grid. So let's say I want to create some uh, first let's highlight this part, and I want some trees. This will look very bad, but still I want to try this.
If you put central gradient in it, it would look more realistic.
Yeah, so and then I'm gonna send it all the way to the back, select all of it. So basically I can make stuff here, and then I can just hold alt and then make a copy, move it here,
Yeah.
right? And then, you know, group them together and send it to the back. Yeah,
Very cute.
so I have a tree now. I can have one more, a bigger one. Yeah, so I can build more stuff and put it here. mm, okay, that looks horrible. So this color, yeah, this makes sense.
Or gray color.
Or gray color, gray is correct. Let me put gray color in it. Hmm. Where are the swatches? Yes. Hmm. Light gray. And no outline. Yeah. Just below this. Let's get rid of the outline from here also. Slightly darker. Hmm. Right?
Very nice.
Yeah. And then of course you can, since light is coming from this direction, there'll be a shadow right here. So make it of this color, and then we can make it dark. Okay.
To do that, you have to make the shadow for the house too.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Yes, yes.
The
Then
teacher in me is coming out.
yes.
This is
Obviously.
what I'm teaching now, but I'm teaching the drawing aspect of it.
So that, and see the shadow, if you want to overlap here, let's say it's coming from up top and it will cover the window. In that case, we can change the blend mode by going to the transparency panel to multiply. See, looks like a shadow. And since we have this shape, we can make copies of it and basically put it wherever it is needed. Extremely crude version of it, but I think will work for us. Right? No, I think I went too far with this one. This is fine. And shadow will be softer here, right? A little more brighter. Yeah, now looks fine. So the more we keep on adding, the more real it becomes, right?
Yeah.
So we have learned three things today. Now it's for you to practice and in the next class we will learn more exciting stuff. Blend tool, I'm sure you must have done earlier. Pretty easy, not much to
No,
see there.
I haven't played with many of these things.
Okay, so
I
uh,
just
uh,
like I was only using Illustrator to make some shapes before or to type
hmm,
or mostly I was using it for just graphic design,
okay,
like just type design when I
hmm,
was laying out my
hmm,
crude packaging before, not in packaging design class, but before.
okay. But now, do you see that there is more to it? There is many
Lots more
hidden
to it.
gems, right? So
Yes.
I must tell you that that's the tip of iceberg what Illustrator can do. What I have showed you. There are some graph tools which helps you with infographics. Then you have symbols, concept of symbols, and a variety of symbol tools are there. Um and blend tool is also really nice. So we'll be
Mm.
covering these things in upcoming sessions. uh,
Mm.
and after this, pretty advanced stuff will start. uh, if you are up for those sessions, you let me know. Otherwise, as far as Illustrator goes, I think this is uh, the place where we can say yes, we have a decent understanding of the program. uh, Hereafter it will be more like uh, doing parametric things, doing some 3D stuff in Illustrator.
No, I would like to learn those other things, and
Okay.
if it goes, if I need to send you more money and we go into like the spring, summer, it's okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if it does go into the summer, I think I'm gonna have this computer through the summer, but
Mm-hmm.
if not, I'll have to get another one. Um,
Okay. So in
so
that case, Lisa, I would.
I'm not in a super rush to learn everything. I just wanna keep building my skills and keep learning and
Mm-hmm. Okay, not a problem. I'm up for that. And you wanted, because otherwise after the next class I would have moved to XD. So we'll have to plan out things here. Uh,
yeah, mm,
you want.
let's not let's
Hmm.
not go to should we go to XD? Because I'm not teaching that class anymore. But
Okay.
yet I think we could stay with Illustrator and move
Okay.
to XD later.
So suggest me something. Do you want to explore the tools more, or do you want me to work on some project with you? Because in that case, I'll ask you to come up with some examples, right? And then we together can build that. And while building that, we will learn advanced stuff. So
Okay.
because I'll take about 3 sessions to finish up the, you could say, uh, the extended, a little more than advanced, a little more than basic of Illustrator. So by the next class
Okay.
I'll be over with the tools, and then it's the next 2 classes will be more like best practices, how to use the tools but in a better way.
Yeah. I'd rather not take on a project myself until
Hmm.
maybe like
So
March because in one week between the last week of February, it's like February, March at the end. It's
hmm,
like a week that's half February, half March. I'm in Hawaii that week, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take a holiday because my brain needs a break. And
okay.
and then after that, maybe we can start. So, but I just it's so hard for me to even get my homework done with this. I'm better if I was even thinking like it's better to do even 30-minute segments and then for me to practice.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm getting no time to practice. And
Okay.
um and so let me think about we'll both think about it. I think it's better. It's almost even now you're building a two-story house.
But I
Um,
wanted to show you that the perspective will go off if I try to just copy it.
it's so beautiful, Rajiv.
Yeah. So if you, it's horrible. It's screwed the perspective. So we'll have
It's
to
kind of
again build
looking
it
like
if I
a
want.
pagoda.
Uh,
Pagoda. So, I let's just think on what we do. We don't have to figure it out today. Today
okay,
my brain
no,
is tired.
not a
But
problem.
I
For
feel bad that I'm like always behind on homework and things like that. And I do want to take on a project. I do think it's a great idea.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure how to fit anything more in my life.
No, no,
So
I
that's what the
understand. I
problem.
understand. You must be juggling
Yeah.
through many things. So,
Yeah.
for now, Friday we are meeting again. Okay,
Yeah.
and Friday I'll wrap up the basics, and then the next couple of classes. Uh, okay. Oh God, I'm not there on Wednesday. Probably on Wednesday I'll be there. No, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. These 3 days I'm off to Goa. 16th is my marriage anniversary, so we
Oh,
are going
congratulations.
out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank
So
you.
I'll work on catching up during that time.
Yeah,
So
so you'll have a week to just catch up.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, it
So
sounds good.
10th we are meeting, and we can decide on the schedule accordingly. Now
Okay, that sounds good.
about the fees.
I wouldn't mind
Mm-hmm.
learning the UX still,
Mm-hmm.
the basics of UX. I think that would be good for me to learn. Um,
Okay. All right.
let's talk next week. We could both think
Okay.
about it.
Not a problem. So, one thing, Lisa, as per the schedule I had sent you, so right, like in after next class, you can send me the rest of the amount, which is 15K, and then we can decide how to go ahead. You know,
Will you send me an email for what I owe you?
I can send you an email. That's not a
Or
problem.
what, either a WhatsApp message or an email, either.
I'll send you a WhatsApp message that I can do.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
and
Yeah.
uh,
And
after
I might need to, when does my amount end?
uh, 8 more classes you have.
Okay, so I have a little bit of time.
Yeah, so after
I have
the
a little bit
8th,
of time because I don't
yeah,
I'm stretched with money this month, but then April I can pay again.
that's not a problem.
In April I can pay.
That's not a problem at all. I just wanted to make it clear that there is no
Yeah.
confusion regarding
One
that.
project that I think would be good for us to do is I do need to make a fancier package
Mm-hmm.
um, that's cut out for my that I cut out on the machine for my students
Mm-hmm.
in some cool shape or something. And it would be great to use some of these cool graphics or gradients or something.
Mm-hmm. So what you
So
can do, you can